stuff is not recyclable is when we cut down a tree, the fibers are very long, but every time we recycle something, the fibers get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And these types of things have the smallest fibers in them, and so there's nothing that can be really recovered in them. Paper mills hate this type of stuff, but they know they're going to get it, especially around the holidays, so they gear up for all that extra contamination, but they would prefer that we recycle it at home. Even if your wrapping paper says, please recycle me on it, it's not recyclable here in Wisconsin. And we have a lot of paper mills, so we Wisconsinites, we know what we're talking about when our paper mills say they don't want it. Question. Oh, sorry.
If there's a tube inside.
Recycle that tube, yeah, the tube can be recycled, just not the paper itself.
So when you said recycle it at home, you mean just trash it in the garbage?
Yes, just throw this in the garbage can.
Or
Yeah.
use it again?
Yeah, reuse it again. I mean, I reuse my all the time, but wrapping paper, you just bundle it up and throw it in the trash again. Yeah. So other cardboard, paper things that aren't recyclable would be like our Pringles containers here. We have some cocoa, French fried onions.
And those are not.
These are not recyclable, yes.
Are the lids?
The lids are not recyclable either. And the reason these guys aren't recyclable here is because they're made up of so many different types of products all fused together. So we have a plastic lid, we have cardboard on the outside, we have a foil or a plastic liner on the inside, and then a lot of them have metal on the bottom or the top. And our paper mills, most of the paper mills here in Wisconsin don't use chemicals to break the bonds between all of this stuff. And so it's not going to get broken down, even with the water, it just can't separate all of these materials. So this type of stuff here is all garbage.
What about the cap?
The caps are trash as well. It's not, so I'll get to the plastic in a second, but shape is very important when it comes to plastics, and this is not the shape that we're looking for when we're recycling plastics. It's also very flat, so when we recycle things in the recycling facilities, they first get sorted by type. So flat, we want you to break down your boxes in paper. It's two-dimensional, so it gets sorted differently than our three-dimensional things like this. So this would fall through with all of our papers and things and not get recycled, even if you put it in the bin.
So
Yes,
even
so-
like the aluminum, you don't want the aluminum chunk on the bottom of that?
No, this is,
Okay.
yeah,
All
just
right.
garbage. You could put it in, you could save enough of that scrappy metal up and take it to a scrap metal dealer, but not in your curbside bin. Mhm. Yes.
If you put the plastic top in another container, is that all right?
Yes and no. I like to lean on the no, and I'll get to that in just a little bit if you don't mind when I talk about plastics, because I got my jug over there that I can show it off.
Paper with extra ink on.
Extra ink is not a big deal.
What
Um,
about coffee can lids? Those also are not.
Coffee can lids are also trash.
So coffee and cocoa.
If you leave your coffee lid on the plastic coffee canister, it can be recycled. You want to leave your caps on. But if you can't put it in just as is. It
No,
won't get
with the
recycled.
metal, you can do the metal can, right?
The metal can is recyclable, the plastic top is not. But
Wow.
there's more plastic containers than there are metal cans these days.
Are those already made out of recycled, the ones that are, those?
It depends on the manufacturer if they use virgin material or not.
So even if that were flattened, it couldn't be.
Correct.
So they're better off not to buy.
Because there's generally, there's usually some sort of plastic, well, I haven't cleaned it out as you can see, but there's generally some sort of plastic and fused on the inside or aluminum foil fused on the inside to keep it fresh and from sticking to the actual cardboard itself.
What about milk cartons?
And that's the same with the milk cartons that are like this or soup cartons. There's plastic, there's paper, and then if they're shelf stable, so if you can put it on your shelf, there's also a piece of aluminum foil in between that, and then it starts over with paper and then plastic. Once again, most of the paper mills here in Wisconsin don't use chemicals to break down the bonds between all of that, so that they're just not recyclable. There's one mill out at Appleton that actually does recycle it, but the few and far between the mills actually take that stuff.
So what I learned this last time you were here, so I've been flattening those and then I take them to my sister in Appleton.
Mhm.
Because they can do it in Appleton
In
and Green Bay?
Appleton, in Green Bay. Mhm.
Okay, so if we were to ever say, we'll take them here, we aren't, we'd have to run this by the green team.
You mean like the green team over there, the
Yeah, if
kiosk?
we ever decide to do that, it would be something we would take to Green Bay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Go
Because
ahead.
I do it
And
anyway.
I was told that like cardboard containers that have, like, pop bottles or beer, they have a coating on them. I'm not even sure. I
So
brought a
if it's
butter one
made-
too. I think this
If it's
might-
made specifically for the bathroom, the fridge, or the freezer, they put a wetting agent in there so that if your pop can were to explode, that box is supposed to be able to be held intact long enough for you to get it out of the refrigerator, to get it off the store shelf before it makes a big mess everywhere. And once again, our paper mills don't use chemicals to break that bond down, so that wetting agent is going to keep that box from breaking down properly in the process.
So like a Coca-Cola box wouldn't be considered a pantry box.
Correct.
All right, so that's.
If it's
good to
made
know.
specifically for the fridge or the freezer. So tissue boxes
It's
are
made, you're saying that's not recyclable?
not recyclable, correct. So tissue boxes are not made specifically for the bathroom, and so you can recycle that tissue box. The soap box, on the other hand, is made specific for that bathroom so that all that heat and stuff doesn't start breaking your box down and eating away at your soap before you get a chance to use it. So they have that wetting agent and things that are made specifically for the bathroom, the refrigerator, or the freezer.
Right, so-
Box freezer products, then you would not be able to use those.
I like that though, boxes for
Yep, and it's specific for the fridge, bathroom, or the freezer.
fridge.
So what about the container, like for a 12-pack of 7-Up?
Garbage.
Garbage.
Because it's,
Garbage?
yeah, because it's made to go in your refrigerator.
And then there's like laundry soap you can get in a cardboard
They don't recycle,
container.
they say-
But
that
that,
has plastic, that too would not be
like
recyclable.
borax or.
So, a lot of like borax and your, dish detergent stuff, it's made to go in your, in a cabinet, not necessarily on or in your washing machine. So
Right.
that stuff is not made, generally doesn't have that wetting agent. So I recycle my boxes. And then, there's examples of
Like Cascade.
like a Cascade container, yep, or I use, and I use a powder for my dishwasher and I can recycle that. And there are, since you guys really want to know more, there are, like New Glarus, beer, for example, the thing I think of, or a case of root beer I've seen. And it's a case, it's not a 6-pack and it's not a 12-pack of that real flimsy, type of cardboard. It looks like a corrugated cardboard box.
Yep.
That corrugated look is recyclable. They don't put that wetting agent in corrugated cardboard. So I've seen, if you buy a case of something and it's corrugated, it can be recycled, but a lot of times they're not. It's one of those things where I always just, all right, if it's made for the fridge, just throw it away because it's easier to tell people that. But people who like to take notes and really want to do it right, it's one of those
You're right.
tricky notes, tricky things, tidbits. All right, and before I forget, my coffee cups. We all have coffee cups. These are all trash. They're not recyclable. There is a film, a plastic film on the inside or some other agent on the inside to keep your cup from breaking down with your coffee or tea or whatever. And once again, even though this lid has the Chasing Arrow symbol on it, it's polystyrene, it's not recyclable. So we want to throw all of this into the trash.
Is that one of ours from church? Okay, so we have kind of gone to this. in an
To
effort
the
be more-
compostable one.
Yeah, does
Yeah.
that work?
It still has some sort of liner on the inside.
Otherwise, we'd be, have wet hands.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, so
And I know they're doing experiments with coffee cups and things, but they're just not yet in Wisconsin to recycle them.
That's right.
Yeah.
The real deal.
If you have a large scale composter, you could put that in with your compost. But it's not gonna break down, generally doesn't break down in your backyard compost because our piles don't get hot enough or long enough to break that material.
So a large scale would be like if the city had a
Yes.
composting center.
Mhm.
Does our city have one of those?
I don't believe Marshfield does.
Well, that's something we should get
Not a
into
hot
all
one.
these councilmen who are running around doing other dumb things.
Right about.
Okay.
Something worthwhile.
So any other questions about your cardboard, paper? Remember to always flatten them because when we sort the cardboard and paper from our other items, we sort on dimensions. So 2-dimensional for cardboard and paper at all times, and then 3-dimension for all your other materials.
So like newspapers, that you just throw them in the bin?
Yep, loose. Yep, we don't want anything tied. We don't want anything bundled. my mom has a hard time with that, and so she always has a paper bag. And so that's how she contains all her cardboard paper things. And that's what I do too at home. I live in Rapids. I live just outside of Rapids. I still have to sort my things into 3 different bins: aluminum, plastic, and paper. So, you know, I still have that where most people are, you know, we put everything in the bin. We want it to loose. We want it commingled. And we never, never want plastic bags. Never do we want a plastic bag in our recycling bin. It gets caught up in all of our sorting material. Outagamie County, they gave me a stat. It's probably been 10 years now, but at that time, it cost around $70,000 a year to shut down their equipment, to cut out all the plastic film and bags and all the tanglers that get tangled up in their sorting equipment. And plastic film and bags is the #1 contaminant in all recycling facilities across the state. I was telling Sue earlier that the state of Wisconsin does a MRF study, or material recovery facility, survey every couple of years, and plastic film and bags has been #1 or #2 forever since they've been doing it. So no plastic films, no bags.
So then when we can recycle those by bringing them to the grocery store.
Certain
and that
ones,
is
yes.
still-
Mhm. Just never in your curbside bin.
Okay.
Drop off only.
So, I came from another area and anyway, it doesn't really matter. But in the trash recycling that we had down in St. Louis, and I don't know if this is the case here, where people would have their recyclables in a trash bag and throw it in they would pitch the whole bag and everything that's in it into the trash. They wouldn't,
In like a
they wouldn't
paper
open
bag
it
or
up.
was it
Plastic. Plastic bag.
Plastic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the same
There's
here.
Still a ton of people that
It's
do
the
that.
same here. If it's clear, the workers, if they have a chance, they'll rip it open. But if you get 2-3 seconds of dumping out your own material, you're only going to get maybe, if you're lucky, half of that recycling to come out of that bag in that 2-3 second shake that you get. And that's only if it's a clear bag. If it's colored and you can't see through it, especially if it's black, you don't know what's inside that. Black signifies garbage in our realm. And we don't want someone tearing that bag open when there could be something sharp in there. It could just be a bunch of nasty garbage. And so those bags are pulled directly off the line and thrown away.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so we do the same thing.
So to contain recyclables, a paper bag.
A paper bag is perfect, yeah.
Okay, good.
Or empty it
I'm just kind of curious, these farmers that put silage in these big brown bags, what do they do with the plastic? Is there a certain company that takes that?
There used to be a company, Revolution Plastics, that took all that plastic film and bags, and they actually had dumpsters on site for farmers to do that. It's my understanding that that company has kind of gone away. They weren't making enough money, and so they pulled a lot of the boxes. So it's just landfill, all that plastic. It's too dirty to put with plastic film and bags at, say, a grocery store or
I
something.
knew some farmers were burning that.
Yeah.
That's a no.
I had a board member in one of my solid waste boards, and he said, "Yep, I just burn all that stuff. Why do I need a dumpster?" And we're looking at him like, "Good thing you're on the solid waste board." Let's talk about that. Go ahead.
And one more thing with paper, my understanding was like with shredded paper, if you like shred your personal documents or whatever, that is supposed to go into a paper bag and then put it in with your recycling.
We used to tell residents to do that, but we found that the shredded paper still bursts and gets everywhere. And shredded paper in a recycling facility is like glitter in your home. You're never getting it out. It's always there. It's like a big glitter bomb goes off, and that's what it's like in our fruit recycling facilities. Big shredded paper bomb goes off, and it sticks to the plastics, the steel, and everything, and it goes, especially with our glass. It's really bad, and very little of that shredded paper actually gets recycled. So there's been, especially Outagamie County, Appleton, they used to tell people all the time, "Yep, paper bag, that's how we want it," and they have had to come back since and say, "Oh no."
So now
No
you
more
just take it to a shredding place.
shredding place to shred, or you just throw it in the trash. Use it as a fire starter.
Well, there's a guy out in Richfield who shreds,
Mhm.
but I think he takes it then to he might take it directly to a mill, I don't know.
And there's IRO up in Mosinee, and that's the company that we use in Portage County. They shred and then they bale right there, and so for them it's a normal operation.
Would this kind of paper be recyclable?
No, It usually has
So the
some sort
coffees.
the coffee, yeah, that's got a
The
plastic,
plastic.
all garbage.
Understand that zip ties
I don't know
are,
what the
no?
rest of.
Zip ties are, no, for sure. Yeah. All right, move on. Okay. So I'm gonna go on to my, hopefully what's pretty easy, glass bottles and jars are all recyclable. There's, if you eat out of it or you drink or a beverage, sorry, not if you eat out of it, that's wrong. If a food item or a beverage is, contained inside of it, then we can recycle it. But if you drink out of it like a cup, or if you have your plate and it breaks, that is not the same type of glass. So only if it's packaged, a food or beverage, can you recycle the glass.
What about the lids on those?
The lids, we ask that you take them off, and either throw them away, or when you have steel cans, you can put a steel lid in a steel can, crunch it so that, it can't fall out. And then our magnets in the recycling facilities are strong enough that it can pick this whole thing up and it can get recycled that way. So that's, what you would do with, your steel lids and stuff, and it'll get recycled. Same with, the tops, push them inside, crinkle the top, and then it can all get recycled, within your curbside bin as this. And then since I have my metal here, you don't have to remove the outside paper if you don't want to. Some people do, and they put it in the recycling bin. Well, it's not recyclable paper anyway, so just toss it. But when steel gets recycled, we're looking at furnaces 3,500 degrees or hotter. So this stuff just incinerates right off. You don't have to take it. Same with all the glue and stuff to melt it down.
So how clean do they have to be?
Just a good rinse, take a spatula, get out as much of that soup or, out of it as
I'm
possible.
thinking peanut
And
butter.
that's good enough.
I always wonder that.
Peanut butter, just take your spatula or a really long tongue of a dog, and you get out, as much as you can on that spatula, and that's all you need to do. Put that lid back on. We used to give the peanut butter containers to my dog when he was younger. Now he's just too old to chew on plastic.
Well, there's a point at which you use so much water to get the
Yep.
peanut butter out that it.
But you don't recycle the lids on.
You don't recycle the lid. Peanut butter containers you do, but these metal lids, you can either put them in these cans to get recycled or you throw them away. Same with corks and things. These would just be trash or, a project later on, a few years later. So we collected them. So that's glass. Glass is a very finicky market for recycling. If there's too much of the wrong type of glass in there, and by too much, I mean a teeny tiny amount, they have to scrap the entire load. So only the glass bottles and jars that food or beverages are contained in. Mason jars are the one exception because we at home, we're using them to package our food into. So a mason jar can be recycled if it's chipped or cracked or something, you can no longer use it. That would be that one exception to the rule because it's still technically a package, but we're using it at home instead of a manufacturer packaging our food into it. So
But if it's glass that held a chemical or something like that, that's not recyclable?
Correct, that's not recyclable. Same with Pyrex and ceramics
So
and
like
things.
pine sol or that had a chemical in it, like cleaning or.
If it's plastic, you can, but not most chemicals aren't in the glass anymore. Very few. There's a few little ones.
So like a bleach bottle, you could?
Of plastic, yep.
You could
Or like-
rinse it.
I'm thinking of the wood one.
I guess I do have little vials. I get very concentrated from Grove Company. It's concentrated bottles of solution,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
pour that into yes, those little vials, those can be recycled.
Or like Young Living bottles or
Yep.
those can be recycled.
Those are fine. Yep, the essential oils.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem on that. All right, my aluminum cans. Aluminum cans, obviously very recyclable. We want to capture this material. It is the #1 recycled item in the United States, and that's because we get paid for them. So let's
Should they be
recycle those.
crushed or not crushed?
We want all of this to stay as three-dimensional as possible. Broken glass, not a big deal because we're going to crush the glass generally right away in the recycling system to get it out because it's so abrasive. It really runs down and ruins the equipment pretty quick. So we get glass out right away by crushing it so it falls through the sorting equipment.
What if the lid was too high?
It's going to fall through and go out with the glass, and then the glass manufacturer is going to have to clean it up and take the lid out. And they don't always, it's probably just going to end up in the trash because they're looking for the glass and not the
That
metals
was
and
a little
things.
bit of
room that's gonna stay under.
And that's okay, and they know they're gonna get that. If you actually saw glass that comes out of a recycling facility, you would have no idea that was glass. It's very gross. So, a few lids is fine, but we try to ask people to take them off.
So in our house, we have the paper one, and then we have the one for metal
Everything
and
else.
glass and all that. That's okay to do, to mix
And then
all
you
that?
just put it together when you're put it in the bin.
So, but not the paper in? just-
Everything goes together, yeah.
Okay, the paper can go right all in. Okay, great.
Yeah.
We're doing that.
It's pretty
right?
cool. Yeah. Okay, so back to my aluminum cans. We have been finding over the last 5-7 years or so that cans aren't being just printed. Especially when you have small microbrews or you have specialty, seasonal drinks, they're putting stickers on them. And you can tell this one has a sticker here. It's got the seam running down. Sometimes they will overlap, but it'll still have a seam on the container. This sticker does need to be removed in order for this can to be recycled. Because when they shred up this can, that sticker is still going to stick to the can, and then you can't de-ink a sticker. They can't remove that sticker from the aluminum. Whereas this one, they just chemically, they de-ink it. It's not a big deal. This can here is plastic. So you can there's still a seam on the back, but it's plastic. This one, if you just do a little seam and rip it off, this one isn't as detrimental to the recycling process as the sticker is, because once they shred it, most of this plastic is going to fall off that can anyway, and you're just going to have probably the ring on the top or maybe the ring on the bottom. So most of this can will get recycled no matter what. It's that sticker that is going to stay on the aluminum. You just pick at it. That's all it is.
We're not having this in my house anymore, ladies.
Nobody's getting their, well, you're on hold.
Yeah, right? Uh-huh.
Well, you're on hold.
So you just a scissors or a knife or something, serrate it, and you can get it off. And it, from a manufacturer's standpoint, it's actually, it makes sense, because instead of now having to buy 1,000 cans at a certain price point, but I really only need 100 of them, I can still buy that 1,000 cans and then switch out every 100 times with a sticker or a plastic label. So from them, it makes a lot of sense. Recyclability, not so much.
So this can itself is plastic?
No, just the sticker. So it's
And that can stay on?
No, you do want to take that off.
Anything with a seam.
Yeah, anything with a seam. Yep. So
But
that
that's
one I always cut those.
But that's only with the aluminum. You can leave the stuff on the can, the other can.
Yeah,
That
these you
doesn't
can.
come off.
Yes, this is paper,
That's
so it's
paper.
fine. Yes, Sue?
I'm just gonna put a plug in for the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
pull out
Oh, your top
tabs, and take them to the Ronald McDonald House, they make thousands of dollars a year by recycling.
scissors
They don't
or a
want the
knife.
whole
Put a
can,
little
the
hole in here and
Ronald
then I can just
McDonald
peel it
House.
Can
here in
I
town,
demonstrate
They don't want
Or is
the
this
whole
your-
can because it just.
I'll find another one.
They get big bins.
Well, we'll get it back to you, and then you can use it to show how they come out.
Do you have a
Save them.
scissors?
And then when somebody comes into Marshfield, they drop them off, and they make a lot of.
There
money,
actually are
and it's
some
a
of
good
those now
cause.
that it has like.
Yes, a little serration. Yes, I've seen a few of
So
those.
they have a collection.
Yeah, take them over there. Oh, yeah.
Yes, oh, I forgot to bring my aluminum.
You can have it.
I've got a bunch too at work. So, especially around Thanksgiving, we see a lot of roasting pans and pie pans. This is not the same type of aluminum. It's a very low grade, say aluminum foil than these cans. And can manufacturers, let me tell you what, they only want these high grade aluminum cans. They used to even downgrade us for the steel that we use to bale it, to keep the bale together. They would downgrade us for that steel. So they will not recycle this type of material. You can take all these clean roasting pans and all this aluminum to a scrap metal facility, and they can recycle it that way because they recycle all grades of metal, but not in your curbside bin. We just don't collect enough of this, and we don't have a way to separate.
Told me they will take that. Our waste management in town.
Oh, that's the
We'll recycle.
Okay,
Okay.
so that goes to local.
Well, wait.
Let me explain this. So, waste management and a lot of the big haulers, and I'm transparent, they have a saying, we will accept, but however, acceptability does not mean recycled. Just because they accept something doesn't mean they're actually gonna recycle it. I can tell you when waste management used to run the recycling facility at my place, We never recycled any of this stuff. This stuff all went to the trash. We only wanted this right here. So they will accept it to make it easier on the residents, just like they're going to accept a lot of these plastics I'll talk about to make it easier on the residents. But I can guarantee most of that stuff's not getting recycled. They are
Take them to an
yes.
aluminum.
Yep, take them to aluminum recycler.
So where would that
A
be?
scrap deal, some scrap. There's Marshfield scrap, I believe, for salvage.
Yeah.
Shaws, for
Yep.
shaws.
Yep.
How about crushing them?
We prefer you leave them as three-dimensional as possible. If you're gonna sell them direct, crush them all you want, yeah. Yeah. If you wanna squeeze them, but we still want them as three-dimensional as possible. They'll come off the line just fine. All right, who wants to talk about plastic?
Yeah,
Anybody?
let's do that.
Okay.
No, this is where your heart's gonna break.
Oh, it's gonna shatter, I'm sorry. All right, so, when it comes to plastic, we don't care about the numbers as much as we care about the shape of the bottle. Because the shape of the bottle is gonna signify what type of plastic it is and if it can be recycled or not. So we want bottles, we want jugs like this, and these are bottles, these are jugs. And then we want tubs, like your yogurt containers.
Really?
These are the shapes that we want.
Who wins that argument?
We want bottles, jugs, and tubs. This is the type of plastics that we want. You can keep your nozzles in, no problem there. Keep them in. Make sure you know it's clean on the inside, and then put the nozzle back. Caps, perfectly recyclable, just as long as they're on top of the container. We want them on the bottle. Dump it out, rinse it out, put the cap back on. Even vitamins and medication bottles, we can recycle all of this stuff. So we talked about tubs, some yogurt containers, they're a little bit bigger, cottage cheese containers, and they have that plastic lid, similar to this here. If you keep that plastic lid on top of the container, there's a very good likelihood that it will get recycled. Sometimes, they pop off and things and it won't get recycled that way, but it has a better chance of being recycled as long as you keep that tub on. And then secondly, size matters, unfortunately, when we recycle. So we have the fist rule or a credit card. If it's smaller than your fist or the credit card, like this little pill bottle is here, same with this little spice container, these are all gonna fall through our sorting equipment and it's gonna go out with our glass. So we have screens, not like a window screen, but they're metal shafts and they have rubber discs on them. And they're set so far apart so that we can get the glass off right away. 2 and 3 inch minus screens are very common in the industry. So really anything 3 inches or smaller is going to fall through our sorting equipment and go out with the glass. So size matters. This little guy is very recyclable. It's definitely a container. Same with this one. But because they're so little, they're going to fall through our sorting equipment and go with the glass. And then when it gets to the glass manufacturer, they're just going to throw away because they're not into the plastic business. They're in the glass
Can you
business.
put that inside a bigger one?
So we don't like a lot of stuff inside our containers. We want them to be empty. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, especially with larger containers, especially when I can't see through it, people like to put extra bottle caps in there, which in theory is okay to do, but I can't see through this container. And sharps, lancets, people like to use these types of containers, Tide type containers to put their sharps in. And then they go into our recycling facility. And so if we hear, something that's really shaky, we're just gonna, oh yeah, we don't even want it. We don't even want to deal with that because to shut down our equipment, it can take, 2 minutes. It can take up to a half an hour to an hour to pull each individual sharp off of the line. And then we have to worry about our workers to make sure they didn't get stuck or something. So we don't want stuff in the containers, especially if we can't see through them. If it's clear, a few bottle caps, that's okay. But we don't want more than a few inside of a clear container because we can see through it. And the other reason why we don't want stuff inside of our containers is when we sort our plastics, it goes underneath an optical sorter. And an optical sorter is able to read the type of resin or plastic as it goes underneath a light bar. And if that optical sorter says sorting for HDPE, which this is right here, it's going to send a puff of air on it and it's going to kick it over or down so that it gets sorted. So a puff of air needs to sort this plastic bottle. If there's too much residue in there or too many things in there that would weigh it down, it's not going to be sorted properly.
Could you, like I was talking about that big clear one, it's about, I would say it's maybe double the size of that thing and it's clear. Could you put one or two of those little bottles into that?
Maybe one or two of these, but I wouldn't do more than that.
Okay.
Because weight really isn't, especially in a big container already, it's already heavy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a bunch of containers that cat litter came in and you can't see through them.
Mhm.
And I've been putting stuff inside them.
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, they'll
I
probably
thought
be
that.
too heavy and not get recycled properly if they don't bust open. And then if they do bust open, that little
Yeah,
stuff
well,
probably
they're
won't.
fairly sturdy, so I think they'll go.
So, but just not too much because that container is already a really heavy container. That's the ultimate size, even if that's a little big for most recycling facilities. So, all right, so, and then spray bottles, I didn't bring one because I forgot to grab it. Spray that spray nozzle, keep it inside the bottle, perfectly recyclable is. All right,
Gosh.
another thing that we have been seeing in the industry that's been driving us crazy, similar to our aluminum cans, they've been putting wraps, plastic wraps, I may add, on a plastic container. And the best part is, not being facetious, is this plastic wrap on the outside of this container is a different type of plastic than the container is itself. So this Chobani container has a better likelihood of, say, of this bottle if it was completely wrapped because of this surface right here. But if this bottle was wrapped, and usually they're wrapped top to bottom,
Yeah, they are.
it's got the optical sorters are going to read that outside plastic and not the actual bottle itself, and it's going to get rejected. And then if there isn't human hands on the other end of that optical sorter to pull that back and put it in the container, it's stickers are okay.
So
It'll be
this
fine.
sticker would be all right.
That sticker is perfectly fine. That sticker is perfectly fine.
I
Yes,
was told to take these off.
you can take them off if you want. That's great. But we really want that shrunk wrap plastic to come off. Yeah, it's not the type of plastic that our facilities want. And so
And those have the.
coffee creamers are terrible on that.
Terrible to get off.
Yes, and same with, so we do want the coffee creamer labels off because those are generally all plastic. And same with toilet bowl cleaners, those that usually are shrunk wrap all the way to the top and bottom. I know my Lysol ones are. A lot of cleaning supplies like Clorox and stuff. I have been seeing, thankfully, I believe it's the Clorox brand. They've been putting a little, you have to actually read, then you've got a little seam on the back where you can just kind of pick it and it's supposed to come off.
Some of the Chobani, isn't it?
Not this container, I know this is kind of an old one.
Okay.
I've had this
Because
for a
I've
while.
just gotten some and you just go.
You do, I'm glad to
Zips
hear
off.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't bought Chobani in a while, as
Okay.
you can see. But, so we do want those plastic labels on plastic bottles to be off. Stickers on the plastic containers are okay. We've been dealing with those for so many years, so they're fine yet.
So then if you remove those stickers, you just throw them away?
Yes, please.
Into the garbage?
Yep.
Take them store with the plastic. Okay.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
These labels are not the type of plastic film. It's not a film, it's an actual label. It's not compatible with plastic film and bags. So plastic film and bags, since we brought it up, I'll bring them out. They're at a grocery drop-off store, never, ever, ever in your curbside bin. So you can recycle things like, oh, why did I put that over there? Your padding packages. If it's got the cardboard or the paper on the outside, you wouldn't be able to do that. It has to be all plastic. Your bubble wrap, your air pockets are recyclable. This is a bag that held produce at the grocery store. You can recycle that. The wrap around diapers, the wrap around water bottles, Gatorade casing. This case wrap is all recyclable. We can recycle this with plastic film and bags. Don't forget about your bread bags, your tortilla bags, all good plastic. Here's the diaper wrap. You can do this one. Ziploc baggies, these storage bags. If they have that little slider on there, once again, if you want to tear that off, that plastic slider, that's great. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world in the stream. And then these are bags that came with some kind of electronic component. They are wrapped in there individually. So all of this type of film is very recyclable.
In the plastic.
In your plastic film and bags at a drop-off only location. Here, give me mine.
But not, you don't want to put that.
But not in your curbside bin. Yep, never ever in your
So all
curbside
those
bin.
Amazon bags that say they're recyclable, they have paper on the outside and bubble wrap on the inside.
Paper on the outside, bubble wrap on the inside to be garbage. This stream only wants the plastic. They don't want any paper. They don't want your receipts in there. They don't want the bread crumbs or the smears of mustard or mayo on the inside of your
What
bread
I've been
bag.
doing with those bubble wrap things is I cut the label off.
Yep.
And recycle the rest of it.
Yeah.
With your plastic film and bag, yep.
This is called, just for those who don't know, it's called crystal print because they're printing on this clear stuff. I mean, this isn't necessarily crystal print, but that's what we always
Cereal
call
bags
it.
would be recyclable.
Yes.
Oh,
With this
Oh.
stream. With the film, yep. And so, there's always, if you're not sure if your film can be recycled, there is the stretch test. You can put your thumb through it if it stretches, that's one indicator that we can recycle it. If you stretch it and you can see it's not tearing in a straight line in any way, shape, or form, that's another indicator that you can recycle it. If it's really crinkly and loud when you move it around, not recyclable because it's not that loud, it's not crinkly like cellophane would be. If it tears in a straight line, or as straight as possible as plastic can tear, once again, not recyclable. So it tears in a straight line, loud and crinkly, not recyclable. And then if it's compostable or biodegradable, not recyclable. Even if it sounds and has all the appearances of something like this. And it's because this stuff gets 90% of it gets bought by Trex company, and they make the deck boards and all that fun outdoor stuff. They don't want your deck to start biodegrading because of all the sun and the rain, because we put too much of that compost or biodegradable plastic film in there. So that's the reason behind that.
So an example of that plastic that isn't recyclable would be like a shrink wrap thing, or the protection, security protection on the outside of a bottle.
Yes.
Where it's
Mhm.
hard to get off and it's stiff.
Yep, and just like that aluminum can, you can tell it's stiff, it tears in a really nice straight line, and if I got it off whole, it would be loud and it'd be crinkly in my ear. So that would not be a type of film that's recyclable. Same with this here, stickers.
The plastic egg carton.
Plastic egg curtains are trash.
You talked about produce, like over a head of lettuce or cauliflower, or broccoli, those kinds that are wrapped around and.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, I forgot to bring that up. So another indicator, if it stores like lettuce or it's in the freezer or something, they put extra plastic, they fuse plastics, different types together to keep your product fresh or from being freezer burned. And that has too many different types of plastic in there, so it's not recyclable with this stream. It's not recyclable at all. This stream, they just want one type of plastic, which this stuff is made out of one type of plastic, where the other, your salad, your lettuce, yep, the wrap, yep, even the wrap around it.
Can't be recycled.
No.
Really?
You just try to put something there to help.
I used to get produce bag.
Oh yeah, this is one that I would put tomatoes or apples in,
Okay.
that kind. It's the same type of bag that your newspaper used to come in when they would throw it at your door. That's the same.
That's fascinating because I do just the opposite at the store. I will not use those and I'll buy those. Now I'll do the opposite.
Yeah.
You can do
So
that.
just take a head of broccoli.
Yeah, and
throw
then put it in here, yeah.
Better. Huh. I wouldn't have thought.
what about color on that plastic? We get
Color doesn't matter.
Even the black, 'cause we've got some black, like mailings that.
Oh, she's talking about,
Yeah.
or shoes come
That's
up in
okay.
black.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is recyclable. Do they like it? No, because you look at your deck boards, nobody likes black. You look at, people don't like really dark stuff.
Right.
And so black can only stay black, and so they have to put a lot of pigment in. So
Maybe it'd be better.
it's
toss
better
it.
to toss it, because
Okay.
they really don't want it anyway. But technically, yes, it is recyclable with this
All
stream.
I'm wondering about that.
All right, that's right, let's shatter some hearts. Okay, so, they're, lettuce, berries, cupcakes, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, the plastic that holds, that packages things to keep it safe and from shifting when, you go places. This is all garbage. This is all garbage. And this is one of the reasons why we don't want you to look at the number. We want you to look at the shape, because this is made out of a number 1 PET bottle, PET plastic, and this is also a number 1 PET plastic. These are very different types. They started off as the same type of plastic when they were going through the manufacturing, when they were born, if you want to call it that. But when they decided to make this type of product versus this is a blow mold. So they take a glob of plastic, they blow air through it, and it creates this shape. It dries really quickly. They all dry very quickly. This, on the other hand, they make a big sheet of plastic out of it, and they mold it around things And so no, this type of plastic doesn't have the strength anymore as this blown plastic does. So this is now a weak plastic. It can only be recycled into things such as these items here, which are called thermoforms, where this plastic bottle can go to a thermoform. They can make new bottles out of it. They can make carpeting, clothing out of it. The possibilities are basically endless. Manufacturers want to be able to say, all right, we've met quota here. Now we need to switch and do this product instead. They want that versatility, so they buy this type of plastic all the time. This stuff here, I could never find a market for it, and I looked all over the United States. There's one manufacturer down in Dane County that does thermoforms. They make them. However, they need one semi-truck a year. So it's not coming from us, people. It's going to come from them down in Madison. So this type of plastic is all garbage in central Wisconsin, all of them. So it's everywhere. I mean, it's a great packaging. You know, it holds shape fairly well. You can see through it. You can close it back up, but it's all garbage.
So that's the stuff that you try to reuse as much as you
Yes.
can and then
Mhm.
finally toss it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same with fast takeout cups and things. These are all garbage, you know, like the straws, trash as well. So, yep, garbage. And then,
I was at Festival Foods the other day, and I know the manager, Marty, pretty well. And I jump on his case every now and then. I always bought the really nice meat sticks in the deli, where they're not selling them individually anymore. You gotta buy them in a plastic container like that. I saw him and I had it in my cart, and I said, by the way, this will be the last time I'll buy these from you. I'll be going out to Hewitt Meats where I can get it in, you know, where I can recycle it. And I even said, all that stuff that you prepackage with your potato salad, I said, if I can go to the deli and get it, but you're still gonna put it in one of those containers, you put it in your little Ziploc thing, I'm all in.
Well, they
he
won't
didn't-
let you bring in your own container either.
No,
I
right.
brought in a container and they'll say, we can't do that. And I'm like, I'm gonna bring you a dirty container. I don't,
Yeah. But anyway.
I think the policy is a little dumb.
you have to go certain places, yeah. Usually food co-ops, you can do that.
Yeah.
Styrofoam, any way, shape, form. If it's molded, if it's little beads like this, it's all garbage. There is a place in Schofield, Wisconsin that does recycle styrofoam, like this type of styrofoam. You have to take it there. So not many people do. Or if you ever find yourself in
Do
Appleton.
you know the name of that place?
Styrene Products, I believe, is the name of it. But they're in Schofield. If you ever find yourself in Appleton, they have a drop-off for this type of stuff at their by their landfill and their recycling facility, but not curbside. No way. Drop-off only, or put it in the trash can if you're in one of those areas. And then all of these, your plugs, your plats, all of this stuff. It's not a bottle, it's not a jug, and it's not a tub. This is all garbage. So either reuse them. See if the nursery will take them back, or just throw them in your trash can. Black plastic, I hate to say it, even if it is a bottle or a jug or something, it's never going to get recycled because optical sorters can't see through the color black, so they don't even know this is plastic. It's going to go underneath their optical sorter and get tossed anyway. So all black plastic is garbage in central Wisconsin because we use optical sorters to sort through it. So, yes.
Some Amish farmers will take
Ooh,
a
lovely.
whole bunch of
Yeah.
them. I've
Oh, that's
taken them
great.
out.
Yeah. Reuse is bad. I know there's quite a few, I don't know, but I've always been told when I do presentations, oh, so-and-so's nursery takes them back. The big retail chains don't, but usually local nurseries will. Especially the thicker ones, you know, the more plasticky, less flimsy. So, what else? Questions, comments? And I do apologize, I forgot my recycling guide at home. I was gonna bring everybody one, but I tried to grab it. Ooh, Stu, yes, little squeezy tubes, all garbage. Toothpaste, lotion, all those sunscreen squeezy tubes, all garbage.
If you're interested in places where you can buy some of these items, some manufacturers like Grove and Bite and what's the other one that I do a lot of? Where they'll send you like toilet paper, for example, in a box. It comes wrapped in paper. So if you're looking for companies where you just don't want to buy plastic in the first place, or you're trying to avoid it, which I think is so hard.
It's very hard.
It's very difficult to go shopping and not end up with some plastic in your life. But we get our dish tabs and our toilet cleaner and our laundry stuff. There are a lot of companies out there that you can look at if you're interested, but some of them are subscription based. We have talked on the green team about having, getting a subscription through church and then letting people say, I would like some tabs, or I'd like some toothpaste, or I'd like this or that.
Takes out of buying local.
So like a co-op.
Kind of, where we would just have it here,
Uh-huh.
but we haven't officially gone into that because we have our fingers in a lot of pies right now. And we're trying to, if we did something like that, we'd maybe want a green friend to help us manage that.
Well, thanks to Darlene, I mean, like, you get these little tiny,
Toothpaste.
like
Toothpaste
toothpaste tabs,
Yeah.
and they work great. And then they come in a little
Jar.
metal
Yep.
or a jar or something. And so there are products out there.
Yeah, I use laundry detergent sheets instead of the liquid or the powder.
And
Yeah, they work
I
very
have
well.
some of those subscriptions, so if anybody wants to try stuff like that, talk to me and I'll give you some of mine, sample it out, and if you want to order more, you can. I wouldn't make no money on that, you would just be on, when I order, I'll say, oh, okay, you want a box, so.
Split it with somebody.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, and, that way, it wouldn't be through the green team, it would just be, Darlene, are you getting any toothpaste? It would just kind of be through me. And I'm not promoting anything here, really not.
There's
But that's what
Process.
I've
Have you been
tried.
to Process in Stevens Point?
No.
So they have a very nice store, and it's all, you bring your own containers for your soaps and your detergents. They have the sheets, the laundry detergent sheets. and
They're
everything.
doing that at Mill Creek. They came and did a thing yesterday morning. Process is the name of
Yep,
that place?
Process.
In Stevens Point. And so if you're interested, Mill Creek Gardens is going to start, they call it a refillery or something.
Yes.
A refill. So they buy it in bulk, like a co-op,
Yeah,
and then you go and bring your own container.
At least you're keeping it more local.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have so many other things, they have plastic-free toothbrushes and razors, and, I mean, everything from feminine hygiene products to baby diapers to bottle tops and, pumps for soap and things. Pretty
Is it
cool.
like a storefront then? Or
Yeah,
what?
Process, yeah, it's
Is
just
that
downtown.
Central or downtown?
It's downtown Point, Stevens Point.
I'm gonna look for that,
In
but
the
I
square
wanna
there.
check out Mill Creek first.
Yeah, it's
Mill Creek
closer.
Garden.
Is there anything you ever see in the future coming, where you get all these bags like French fries in your freezer? We talked about the layers, where they could ever get those companies to produce something that can be recycled, because plastic is
Yeah.
one of the worst things in the world.
They are, and unfortunately, our money speaks. So even
No,
though
I'm
I
sure,
don't have an alternative to buying my frozen French fries, because I don't have an alternative, I'm still gonna buy it, so they're still gonna make that stuff. Our money speaks that way. There are chemical facilities that are trying to figure out chemical recycling. We don't, in the industry, don't really think of it as recycling. They're trying to take the plastics and convert it back to the original properties. So they're trying to do things like that. That might be the newest thing coming.
I would hope, just, because I just hate
Yeah.
seeing so much plastic.
I know,
around.
And really, it's so lightweight versus some of the other stuff, so they can get more on a truck, they can spend less in gas, there's all those weird things, but yet it stays in our landfill forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Apparently, the University of Wisconsin-Madison has been working on like a biodegradable kind of plastic, and Barb Gillespie's and Terry's, their son works for a company that's starting to form some kind of an alliance with them or to manufacture it. But anyway, it's, some of this stuff is coming because we have a crisis here with too much of that going in
Yeah, everywhere.
the landfill.
Do you guys know where to take your batteries?
We have
Rechargeable batteries?
struggled with our batteries, so we had a kiosk where we were collecting them. Well, then we as a green team were taking them to a place, and then we started charging us. And then we learned they were charging us and they were recycling them.
Oh, no.
So if you have a source, we're all ears.
I don't have a source for individual non-rechargeable batteries. So your normal alkaline type batteries, because those can technically go in the trash. There's nothing bad in them. But your rechargeable batteries, you really want to capture those and call to recycle. Since you're not a public entity, you might have to pay like $70, but you get 2 boxes, and once you fill that box up, then it's already has that shipping label on there, and then they ship it and it gets recycled.
What's the name of it?
Call to Recycle. Lowe's, is there a Lowe's in Marshfield?
No.
Over.
Clover, okay, and then Home Depots, they generally also, both of those generally have those, call to recycle boxes that you can take your rechargeables to. We just really don't like seeing them in the stream. They're the number one, fastest growing reason why we're having fires in landfills, recycling facilities, and in trucks. So,
What about like the little button batteries?
if they're lithium ion, we would really like to capture those. I don't know Wood County very well, but if you're ever in Plover, I take them at our facility. We take all batteries chemistry wise, and we do have them recycled. But ideally you would put some tape, one battery, so they're single, put tape on the bottom, tape on the top, make a battery sandwich, and then you could throw in the trash so that at least those terminal ends won't be touching something, and hopefully, and then it will reduce the risk of any fires.
Two things. One, when you're, we all get a lot of, I was in printing, there was no such thing as junk mail. But, so you get your bill, or you're still getting bill, or you get something in the
Yeah.
mail and you open it up and there's lots of paper in it. Is it advisable to just rather than throw that all loose in your trash, to put it back in the envelope and then put the envelope back in the trash? Or whatever your thoughts there?
I think it's just how you feel. I do that at home because I feel like at least if it's back in that envelope,
It's one less
there's one less, thing to be sorted or lost in the recycling system.
Yeah.
But ideally, you don't need to.
Okay.
You don't need to.
Second question, my nemesis is plastic water bottles. Anyway, at one time, I had read this, recently I read, and of course, where's the source of the information, that even when you do put your plastic water bottle into recycling, that less than 20% actually get recycled.
I might have read the article. I believe was it Greenpeace put out an article bashing plastics, and the recyclability. But here in Wisconsin, we don't have a choice. If my facility receives this plastic bottle, I have to prove to the Wisconsin DNR that it came in and where it went, and then that facility has to prove where they sold it. So we have to sell them, and we're just not going to sell them to a manufacturer, and then the manufacturer's going to throw them away. They're paying us for it. If it does go to our facilities, it is getting recycled. I can't say that about out of state, but here in Wisconsin, it will get recycled. And most of this will get recycled. I mean, it gets melted down. The plastic label won't, obviously, but they will both get recycled, melted down, and made into pellets.
Here's one last, and I don't remember the statistic, but I was down in Little Rock, and we were at the Clinton Library, and there was a great display show by artists and people who took plastic that was recovered in the ocean, and made art out of it, which was just gorgeous. But they had all of this. Okay, here's the fact about this. There was another one, and I don't have it right, but if a drink water bottle, let's say, gets thrown on the ground, just throw it out the window of your car, or your recyclable trash bin tips over, and they're so light the air, that it was something like, it was a huge number, like 60 or 70% of those bottles end up in the ocean. They started out in Marshfield, Wisconsin, on the ground.
Plastic never goes away.
It was like, and they showed this, the process of a water bottle ending up in the South Pacific, coming out of Minnesota. And it was like, it ends up going into the sewer. And then because it floats and it doesn't get it isn't handled as a solid or anything. And it just keeps going wherever the water or wind takes it, and the end result
and even if it breaks down into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller parts, then it gets ingested, and is it dioxin? There's a movie we showed one time called Trashed. It's narrated by Jeremy Irons, and we may have a copy on the Green Team shelf in there. But that's one I would recommend you all take a look at. I'm not sure how it would reflect what's happening at Portage. But it's good for us, I think, to know what locally is happening, what
But
we're
that-
putting out
That's
there.
where money speaks, and as long as we as consumers keep buying cases of bottled water, we're gonna keep making it,
Mhm.
you know.
When you started, you talked about everything going to Appleton now?
Yes.
And I'm wondering, we were talking to someone we know who lives in the area, and he said, well, none of the stuff that we're recycling gets recycled, it all goes in the garbage, wasn't that?
Yeah,
statement?
I've
I
heard
hear
that
all the
remark
time.
too.
Hear it, and then what you said it fairly quickly, so I want to understand what you said.
Sure.
You do recycle
Yes.
everything, but you don't do it all here, because we did do that.
Yep.
Field trip a few years ago.
Yeah, you were.
But that's not in place anymore, that?
We don't recycle on site anymore. We don't have any more sorting equipment. Our sorting equipment was from 1994. It was really old. Nobody wanted to upgrade it. The county couldn't afford to upgrade it. We removed it. Now we're just processing, and we have an agreement with Outagamie County to process and recycle it on our behalf. So we just transport it just like here in Wood County.
Okay.
Your stuff probably goes down to Germantown.
Like when the garbage truck comes through.
Yep.
You know, some of the stuff, I mean, we have two different separate bins, and one goes into the one part of the truck and the
Yep.
other goes in. But I hear people say, oh, it all goes in.
Oh,
this
I
one."
know.
And
It's
how
not
do you
true.
dispel that?
So they use in the industry, we use our dual trucks. So instead of having two trucks going down your driveway, now you're only having one. And then they pull a lever on the inside that you can't see, you know, or there's two bins here, they put them up and they've got the dividers and it goes up. And if you really look close, you can see there's a divider this way or this way, depending on the truck. And they really do get divided and it does get recycled.
Maybe
It would be very illegal in the state of Wisconsin because it is a state law to recycle. And these big manufacturers, these big companies don't want to deal with that. Either do the little ones, so.
Maybe the
So just-
information needs to be out there a little more, you know, that.
Well, in the plastic bottles, like keeping your cover on the plastic bottle, that just isn't spread enough, I don't think, or.
Because in the early days of recycling, they didn't want the plastic bottles.
Exactly.
Yes, but now we figured out how to process and recycle both as long as they stay on. Yes.
What about light bulbs?
Light bulbs, garbage, if they have mercury in them, like your CFLs and your long tubes, we do ask that you take them back. Wood County, once again, I'm not really familiar, but if there's batteries and bulbs and batteries plus or something, I think they're called. Otherwise, Home Depots generally take the small curly cube ones, or they used to, I don't know if they still do. Or you can come visit me and we take them all. You know?
You take all the light bulbs?
Yeah, in Portage County we do, we take them all.
Is that
Everything,
closer
or-
than Home Depot?
All of them, yep. So even the incandescent ones, the only thing bad about incandescent is that there's a little bit of lead solder. And so our facility, our light bulb recycling facility takes that solder out. They do recycle the glass because it comes to us.
So where are you located
In
exactly?
Clover, 600 Moore Road. Come visit us.
Well, you're gonna be getting light bulbs because I can't sort them. We get all kinds of light bulbs in our little kiosk and I'm like, I don't know if these are the ones.
Yeah.
But I can just take them all to you.
It'll
600 what?
Moore, Moore Road.
You'll be getting, regular,
Yeah.
well, actually, just knowing, like the aluminum pie pans, or, you know, I mean, knowing where some of those things can go
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Yeah, just a scrap facility will take a lot of your scrappy, weird metals that you can't put in your curbside
That
bin.
would be something
we
could
could, well, that's what we, at our green team on our agenda, we want to kind of morph we found that there's a lot of things happening at the kiosk that even though we communicate, people are still doing what they want to do. But now that I know I can bring light bulbs there, we don't even need only this kind of light bulb anymore, right? You said you take all
We
batteries?
take all batteries, all chemistry.
There you go.
We do charge $2. I mean, we have fees, so you'll
No,
have to
but
take into account.
We
but yeah.
had been paying
Oh,
over
yeah.
there.
And then I know Marshfield every other year does the household hazardous waste collection.
Yep.
Hazardous waste, is it just hazardous waste? It's not, do they do bulbs and stuff there, or is it just hazardous waste?
I think it's just, the last time that we did it, it was at the fairgrounds, it was
Okay.
just hazardous
Yeah,
waste.
and they switch off with rapids every other year on that
Yeah,
one.
but you're what, 30 minutes away?
About 45.
So we could
It's about a
do,
horse apiece,
No, but
because we
we
were
could-
taking stuff to Lowe's and.
Yeah.
oh, this is great. That's great information.
But call to recycle, I mean, that's a really good place too. You can have your own box on hand and then you bag everything individually and then ship it off and then they give you a new one.
There's also when I go to, we need to talk about this at Green Team too, but like those little Capri Sun caps and Capri Sun and all the little juice boxes and fruit boxes and
All
Yes.
garbage.
all garbage,
Yeah.
unless we take it to that, what is that called, that Nicole one?
Oh, what's it called? What's the company?
Trax?
No,
No.
they won't take any of that.
Tetris? Terra.
TerraCycle, thank you.
TerraCycle.
I'm in my brain. Yes, TerraCycle, you have to get some boxes and they take all that and then
But
they,
we could,
reuse them.
we still need to look into that too, I
You
think.
charge for the bulb?
yeah,
You charge for light bulbs?
yeah.
And what is that per pound, do you know?
It's not per pound, it's per bulb. It's 55 cents per CFL or 4 foot and under. And then if it's a miscellaneous bulb, it's gonna be, everything else is like $2, I believe.
Per bulb?
Per bulb, yeah.
Did you say you
Not
cheap
cheap.
charge for batteries?
Yes, $2 a pound.
Even alcohol.
He's faxing them
Batteries,
back up.
$2 a pound?
Yep, rechargeable batteries, we don't charge. If you just call ahead and make an appointment, we'll take those for free.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, so the bulbs are, oh,
Yeah, bulbs are not cheap, let me tell you what. I wish I could make it cheaper.
And why
Yeah.
why is it so expensive for light bulbs?
It's the mercury inside. Well, for me, it's partially because we have such a small facility, so we have to ship so often. We have to ship very regularly, about every 2 weeks. So that's part of my problem. The other thing is that mercury. You have to capture the mercury in a specialty thing, in a specialty
Thank you.
machine. Yes. And then you have to deal with all that mercury, and then it's a hazardous waste now.
Yeah.
So they have to abide by all those
so
hazardous
this
waste
little
laws.
paper, not recyclable.
Correct, not recyclable. Yeah, recyclable.
That's great.
Yep, it'll fall right through the system.
Heartbreaking.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Darlene, you talked to Gil if you're gonna do light bulbs.